Revealed, incredible secret recipe, transforms her life, walks again, and looks 20 years younger. Claire couldn't have anticipated the bonds that would fray in her family as the weight of the past pressed on her shoulders. Once a spirited chef, time had disheveled her carefree laughter into resignation and whispers of pity. A tragic car accident robbed her of not only her mobility but ignited a suffocating cloak of hopelessness, a far cry from the vibrant woman her family once knew. As she sat in her wheelchair, the rain tapped the window, mirroring the tears she had cried in solitude. Sorting through the dusty attic of her late grandmother's home, dust motes danced like specters of a life she yearned to reclaim. The smell of old paper hit her, stirring memories of comforting meals shared during family holiday gatherings. But buried beneath layers of forgotten mementos, Claire's fingers brushed against a worn recipe book, its leather cover cracked yet inviting. Flipping through pages filled with her grandmother's beautiful script, Claire became entranced by a single dish: revitalizing stew. It promised strength and renewal, connecting her past to an elusive future. The flicker of hope ignited a small yet thrilling fire in the pit of her stomach. Slicing fresh vegetables later that evening, each cut felt like a small reclamation of her identity. Claire marveled at how the aroma of rosemary and thyme perfumed the air, reminiscent of laughter spilling from her kitchen, a stark contrast to her current quiet existence. As she swirled the pot, energy surged through her in unexpected waves. A realization took her breath away. These simple ingredients coursed vitality through her stagnant veins. But the exhilaration was quickly enveloped by panic. Was she merely chasing the ghost of vitality? Society's whispers about aging and beauty threatened to drown her newfound spark in a tide of judgment. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But even as Claire cooked, the ghost of skepticism loomed. With every small improvement came a reminder of whispers, particularly from Lily, her younger sister, who watched the siblings' dynamic morph into something unsteady. Doubts about Claire's transformation bubbled at family gatherings, topped with thinly veiled accusations. The notion of clawing back youth fueled tension in unspoken yet ferocious ways. Why was reclaiming vitality seen as a threat to beauty? Frustration churned within her as she fought against those perceptions. Their inevitable confrontation came just after a family dinner filled with surface-level politeness. Claire felt the air thicken. Lily's eyes were stormy. "You're not being authentic, Claire. You think the stew changes everything, but look at the desperation." Those words ignited a match in Claire's heart, revealing the chasm between their realities. Anguish clawed at her. Desperation, frustration, the aching want for acceptance tangled with the desire to love her true self. It was too much. The weight of unspoken impossibilities clamored around them. Claire grappled with the storm in her chest, the need to defend her identity against Lily's fury. Could she truly stand in her own light, or would she cower under the weight of family expectations? Internal turmoil reigned, igniting passionate questions. Who was she now? What did it mean to embrace her age without shame? With vulnerability and strength, Claire felt the intensity mount as she struggled to align her renewed self with family perceptions. Was it possible to sever those chains? The truth hung tantalizingly close, leaving her breathless in anticipation. Claire sat on the edge of her bed, the late afternoon sun casting golden hues in the room, but her heart felt heavy with the aftermath of her confrontation with Lily. Each pulse of her heart echoed self-doubt, as if to remind her that she wasn't just battling external judgment, she was wrestling with her own fears. The kitchen, Once her sanctuary, now felt like a battleground where every slice of vegetable held the weight of expectations. As the sun began its descent, the stale air of reluctance filled her lungs. She resolved to revisit the recipe, determined to forge ahead with her transformation. This time, it would be more than just a dish. It would be a declaration of her existence, an act of defiance against the whispers that stifled her spirit. She meticulously gathered her ingredients, recalling each childhood teaching from her grandmother. The act of chopping, stirring, and seasoning transcended mere cooking. It became a ritual of reclamation. Yet, she couldn't shake the nagging voice of her sister, as if it lurked in the corner of the kitchen, questioning every move she made. Claire closed her eyes, inhaling deeply, focusing solely on the flickering essence of joy she used to find in the kitchen. With each ingredient, she recalled family gatherings where laughter harmonized with clinking silverware, intoxicating her with nostalgia. But the memory of Lily's fierce accusations surfaced like a cloud on a sunny day, weighing down her determination. Was she truly embracing change, or merely trying to mask her insecurities with plates filled to the brim with colorful vegetables? Claire's hands hesitated, trembling over the spice jars. She felt the urge to retreat, to take the easy path of surrendering to her sister's perception. But that fiery desire to reclaim her vigor reignited within her. Who was she if not the embodiment of her creativity and passion? No longer willing to suppress her essence, she carefully added a dash of salt and a sprinkle of pepper, affirming her choices with newfound resolve. As she stirred the bubbling pot, Claire imagined herself standing tall, vibrant, and full of life, rather than just a shadow of her former self. She began to envision cooking classes, elaborate dinners with friends, a culinary blog where she shared not just recipes, but stories of redemption. The thought was exhilarating, an invigorating gale sweeping through her being. Yet with every dream came the gust of concern that Lily might never understand. That had to change, she decided. Claire understood that her journey wasn't solely about stirring pots. It was about nourishing her identity and confronting the unspoken discord with her sister. The time had come for Claire to engage in a different duel, one where she would fight not just for herself, but also to relate her true self to Lily. A wave of clarity washed over her. The stew simmered, filling the kitchen with an intoxicating scent. This simple act was more profound than mere cooking. It was an invitation to bridge the chasm with her sister. What if they could bond over this dish, transforming it from mere food into a symbol of acceptance and understanding? As Claire ladled the vibrant stew into a bowl, she felt an urgency swelling within her. This was her moment, ripe with potential, where choices could redefine everything. But would it be enough to heal their fraying connection? Stepping toward Lily's room, heart pounding with both dread and hope, Claire paused. Could facing her sister bring forth the reconciliation she sought? The shadows of doubt loomed larger than before, but this time they weren't enough to dim her light. She took a deep breath and knocked gently, determination etched on her face. "Can we talk?" she called softly, knowing that this was only the beginning of a conversation that could change everything. The door cracked open slowly, revealing Lily with a wary expression that mirrored Claire's own inner turmoil. For a moment, the world outside faded into insignificance as they stood frozen in time, each waiting for the other to break the silence. Claire held her breath, battling the instinct to retreat, to fall back into the comfortable armor of silence that had protected her for too long. "Can I come in?" Claire asked, her voice trembling slightly, carrying the weight of what felt like an eternity of unspoken words. The invitation to step inside felt monumental, each step toward Lily charged with both danger and anticipation. Lily stepped aside, allowing Claire to enter the room. It was dimly lit, cluttered with half-finished projects and remnants of past endeavors. Claire noticed a sketch on the desk, remnants of her sister's aspirations. As the door clicked shut, the space tightened around them, an arena where vulnerability felt like both a weapon and a shield. "I made something," Claire began, holding out the steaming bowl of stew as if it were the lifeline bridging their differences. I thought we could share it. Lily's gaze flickered to the bowl, uncertainty flickering like a candle flame on a windy day. You're cooking now? She asked, her tone laced with skepticism, but beneath it, Claire detected a hint of curiosity. Claire clenched her jaw, the harshness of Lily's words rippling through her. I always loved cooking. It wasn't just a hobby, you know. It was a part of me. She took a deep breath, feeling the surge of emotion burning in her chest. And I want it to be part of us again. I want to share that with you, Lily. For a moment, Lily stayed silent, her expression unreadable. The hesitation infuriated Claire, twisting her emotions like a knife. It was more than just a dish, it was an offering, a chance for reclamation. This wasn't merely about food, it was about identity, connection, and confronting the painful rift between them. I need you to see me for who I truly am, Claire continued, vulnerability creeping into her voice. Not the shadow you think I've become. A flicker of surprise crossed Lily's face, but it quickly disappeared behind a mask of indifference. I'm just worried about you, Claire. I thought after everything. She trailed off, staring at the floor as if it might anchor her swirling emotions. That's the thing, Claire interjected, her heart racing. You don't have to worry about me like I'm a fragile thing. I'm learning, growing. I want to change the narrative. She gestured to the bowl, urging Lily to consider it as more than sustenance. Let's create new memories over this. Let's redefine our story. The air grew heavy with the weight of expectation, and Claire's thoughts raced. What if this was all a dead end? What if she failed again? Yet in that moment, the growing conviction inside her surged, drowning out the whispers of doubt. She could not afford to retreat now. Please, Claire said, a plea woven into her words. Let's stop fighting. Let's start rebuilding. Lily hesitated, her defenses wavering as if battling an internal storm. Claire could almost see the gears of contemplation turning in her sister's mind, and within that mental struggle lay the potential for an entirely different path. Just then, the tension thickened, and the first hint of a smile broke through Lily's wariness, though doubt laced it. But it was a step forward, however small. Okay, she finally uttered, her voice barely above a whisper. I'll try. As Claire's heart leaped with hope, she knew this was not just about the stew simmering at their sides. It was about courage and the willingness to venture into uncharted territory. It was a beginning. Yet lingering in her mind remained the question, would one dish be enough to overturn years of unspoken pain and resentment? The answer circled ominously in her mind as they finally sat down together, her stomach twisted in knots filled with anticipation and trepidation. What lay ahead was uncertain, but daring to share the journey with her sister was a risk Claire was finally willing to take. And as she took that first bite of what was supposed to bridge them, the realization struck her. The real challenge wasn't just reaching out. It was holding on when everything seemed ready to slip away. Each morsel felt like a promise, a testament to the countless lost years and the potential of what could be. As she savored the stew, Claire watched Lily's face, searching for any hints of acceptance or intrigue. The silence was deafening. Every tick of the clock echoed the pulse of their shared history, a haunting rhythm that danced just beyond reach. Not bad, Lily finally said, a tentative smile breaking through the skepticism. Her fork picked at the carrots, a bridge slowly forming over an expansive chasm. Claire's heart surged. It was a small victory, but one she needed more than she had anticipated. They ate in an uneasy truce, exchanging glances that veered from surprise to curiosity to something deeper, possibly hopeful. Claire felt the heat of unspoken words still hanging heavily in the air between them, each awaiting an opportunity for expression. She relished the moment, allowing it to thaw some of the anxiety that had coiled tight within her chest. But as they finished, the momentum shifted. Lily's eyes darkened, shadows of doubt returning as she set her fork down. So, what now? She asked, her tone bare, revealing the vulnerability beneath the surface. What now? The question paralyzed Claire momentarily, striking her with the weight of overwhelming expectations resting against her fragile courage. Clearly, the stew alone wouldn't fix everything. She realized that this initial step toward reconnection demanded not just readiness, but an unwavering commitment to confront whatever lay ahead. "I've been thinking." Claire's voice came out steadier than she felt. "About who I want to be. Not just in your life, but in my own, too." Courage gathered in her chest like an incipient fire. "I've been waiting for things to change, but I think it's time I forge my own path." Lily's brow furrowed, skepticism creeping back to the forefront. "You think it's that simple? Just decide to start over, after everything?" Sensing the impending storm, Claire fixed her gaze upon her sister, anchoring herself. "No, of course not. But I can't let fear rule my life anymore. I need to reclaim myself, Lily. This isn't just about trying to fix us. It's also about honoring who I am without comparison to who you think I should be." The moment lingered, charged with possibilities, yet still fraught with uncertainty. Claire felt the desire to unleash everything bottled within her, her ambitions, her insecurities, her wildly divergent dreams. Yet she understood this would require patience from both sides, an investment of emotional energy she had almost forgotten how to spend. "Today was a start," she reminded Lily, her voice softening. "It's not going to be easy, but I think it could be worth it." After an extended pause, Lily frowned before sighing as if carrying the weight of a decision. "Okay," she said at last, "but where do you even begin? Your new life, I mean." The question glimmered like an unturned stone, filled with potential and dread. Pierre's gentle ministrations had whet her appetite for self-discovery. "I'm going to learn more cooking techniques, perhaps take some classes, build the confidence to share my creations, not just with you, but with others." Lily raised an eyebrow, the hesitant glimmer sparkling in her eyes. "Cooking classes?" "Yeah, and I'm going to find out more about my other interests, too. It's time I faced some things," Claire spoke with determination, her voice sizzling with possibility. "I'm done shying away from my passions." As they discussed potential moves forward, an infectious energy began to form around Claire's commitment. It was exhilarating, yet terrifying, the kind of moment that defined the difference between mere existence and embracing the fullness of life. But then, the unease returned, a subtle shift in the atmosphere. Claire felt a twinge of doubt. Would she really be able to embrace this new path? Or was she merely chasing an illusion of change? Lily's expression softened, hinting at an understanding. "I'll support you, but you need to take this seriously, Claire," she cautioned, but a hint of warmth leaked through her careful stance. "I need to see that you are committed to this." The challenge stirred something within Claire, an innate resilience and motivation bubbling to the surface. She nodded, recognizing that this journey was just beginning. "And you need to be honest," she declared, feeling the weight of responsibility shift between them. "Your support matters, but I need to know where you stand too." For the first time, they both knew they were facing a crossroads, a path uncertain yet glimmering with hope. As they sat amidst the remnants of their meal, realization dawned. The conversations that lay ahead wouldn't just change Claire. They could reshape the very foundation of their relationship. But with her resolve tested anew, Claire was compelled to ask herself raw, unsettling questions. What if Lily couldn't accept this change? What if she faltered on the path she had just committed to? That single thought hung suspended like a spectral weight. How could she prepare to stand firm when all she wanted was to leap forward into a brighter future? The following day, Claire woke to the morning light filtering through her kitchen window, illuminating the flour dusted across her countertop as though it were some sacred canvas. The air was filled with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. This was her first official day as a student of culinary arts. She needed to prove not just to Lily, but more significantly to herself, that she could embrace this new chapter wholeheartedly. The initial excitement felt electric, but reality settled in like thick fog, clouding her ambition with doubt. Would she truly excel in a cooking class dominated by seasoned professionals? The fear of inadequacy loomed larger than ever. Claire took a deep breath, grounding herself in the comforting smells of her kitchen. This place had been her sanctuary, a retreat where she could be herself, even in moments of solitude. After a quick breakfast, she slipped into a dark blue apron, her armor for the day ahead. She glanced at the mirror, seeing not just a reflection, but the face of someone ready to reclaim their identity. No longer submerged in the past, but standing at the cusp of something new. With her heart pounding in tandem with her pulse, she stepped out into the vibrant chaos of the world outside. The cooking school was a quaint, bustling establishment filled with the aromas of simmering sauces and fresh herbs. As soon as she crossed the threshold, anxiety surged in her chest like a tidal wave. She could feel the cool steel of the countertops, the slickness of the tile beneath her feet. Each step resonated with both possibility and self-doubt. In the classroom, students gathered around a polished workstation. Claire recognized some faces. Others were mere strangers who seemed to exude confidence. As the instructor introduced himself, a robust man with a flourish in his speech, Claire felt her resolve waver. Why had she thought she would belong here? Before she could spiral into self-doubt, she pushed it aside and absorbed the information being shared. Chopping techniques, seasoning principles, blending flavors, each new lesson began to fill her with a sense of purpose. She realized that these challenges were not just about cooking. They were framed as opportunities to fortify her spirit. Each knife cut, each stirred pot echoed with the potential for growth and rejuvenation. As the class progressed and she bounced between joy and frustration, Claire faced her first real challenge. She was paired with a confident and brash fellow student named Derek, who easily mixed humor with skill. They were tasked with creating a unique appetizer, but Claire's initial attempts were clumsy. Her hand shook as she struggled with her knife skills. Derek's chuckling didn't help. His presence loomed like a specter as she fumbled through the process. Anxiety tightened its grip. Yet amidst the pressure, Claire felt a flicker of realization. She was here to learn, not to prove anything to him or anyone else. "Focus," she whispered under her breath, summoning the determination she had felt the day before. The pressure transformed from an oppressive weight into a driving force. As they worked, Claire made an impulsive decision. Rather than sticking strictly to the traditional recipe, she started tossing in ingredients not typically paired together, allowing years of suppressed creativity to flow out. The risks felt exhilarating, and with Derek's initial skepticism transforming into reluctant intrigue, Claire reveled in the freedom of experimentation. The final result was a bold appetizer that combined flavors she personally loved instead of adhering to conventional expectations. As she plated it with care, a surge of pride swelled within her, eclipsing her earlier doubts. After the tasting, the instructor praised her adventurous spirit. "You've got a unique perspective, Claire. Never shy away from blending the unexpected. It's your voice in the kitchen," he declared, igniting a spark of recognition in her. This was her way of expressing herself. As she left the class, adrenaline coursed through her veins. For the first time in years, she could feel the pieces beginning to fit. Cooking was not simply an escape, it was her portal to embracing who she was becoming. Yet, as Claire's mind wandered to how she would share this transformation with Lily, a troubling thought flickered. Would Lily accept this new, confident version of her? She paused on her way home, at a small market bursting with vibrant produce. A thought flickered under the surface. What if each dish she created symbolized another step toward healing their relationship? As Claire busily selected fresh vegetables, a sensation of empowerment bolstered her resolve. She was not just redefining her career, but rebuilding bonds fractured by years of misunderstanding. And with that resolve electrifying her with purpose, Claire realized the real test lay ahead. She needed to bring her newfound self back to her sister, But what if that was more challenging than mastering a soufflé? Would this brave new version of herself withstand scrutiny? Head spinning with questions, she left the market with her produce. Each step felt heavy as she anticipated what lay ahead. What awaited her when she confronted the fear of rejection through the lens of authenticity? The next morning, Claire's heart raced as she stood in front of the stove, fresh ingredients sprawled across the counter. Each item was a reminder of the culinary adventure that awaited her, a vibrant array of colors evoking a sense of potential and urgency. Today was the day she could begin bringing her personal journey into the kitchen, especially with the thought of cooking for Lily. As she diced tomatoes and minced garlic, the rhythmic chopping forced her to focus and breathe. This was her sanctuary, where she could momentarily shut out fears and let intuition lead. With each slice, she imagined the warmth of her sister's smile, how she longed for Lily to taste the flavors born from her newfound audacity. But the nagging fear of rejection loomed. What if her sister was still caught in the shadows of the past? Claire paused, her knife hovering over the cutting board. Suddenly, the grounding smells she cherished felt constricting. She needed Lily to see her, not just as Claire, the sister who had faltered, but as Claire, the courageous woman who dared to create a new narrative. Determined to infuse her dish with a personal touch, Claire resolved to prepare a recipe that held meaning. A roasted vegetable medley paired with a tangy herb vinaigrette. Each ingredient held significance, memories of family dinners where they had laughed, fought, and reconciled. This was not just cooking, it was a bargaining tool for reconnection. Minutes turned into hours as she crafted the dish, the aroma weaving through the air like an invisible thread. With every unorthodox pairing, she recalled the adventurous spirit her instructor had recognized. She was cooking for herself first, trying to embrace this evolution. When the dish was finally plated, Claire stepped back to survey her creation. The vibrant colors screamed vibrancy and joy, emotions she felt bubbling beneath the surface. However, just as quickly, insecurity threatened to engulf her once more. Would she truly be able to impress Lily? What if her efforts were met with ambivalence? Taking a deep breath, Claire quelled the doubts and scooped the dish into an insulated bag for transport. This was a leap of faith, a revelation that had emerged from her personal growth. The journey to this point was laden with introspection. Each step forward had required questioning who she wanted to be versus who she had been. When she arrived at Lily's apartment, Claire hesitated at the door. The familiar pang of anxiety knotted her stomach. What if this dinner wasn't enough? She pressed the doorbell, each chime echoing with uncertainty. "Hey, Claire, come in," Lily greeted warmly, but Claire caught a flicker of something. Surprise, perhaps? Uncertainty tightened its grip. The initial warmth was a welcoming facade, and she braced herself for the disconnection she had feared for so long. As they settled at the modest dining table, Claire presented her culinary creation with a flourish. "I made something special for us to share. It's a twist on the traditional, something a bit unexpected." Claire's hands trembled slightly as she watched Lily take her first bite. The moment felt suspended, heavy with anticipation. As Lily chewed, her expression was inscrutable. Claire's heart thudded steadily, creating a beat of tension where silence reigned. After what felt like an eternity, Lily nodded slowly. "This is good. Really good, actually." But just as Claire sought to bask in the approval, she glimpsed apprehension flickering in Lily's eyes. "But why this resurgence? Are you changing?" Claire's heart sank like a stone, the weight of her sister's question suffocating the room. The unease of having to confront her past collided head-on with her newfound self. Would the woman she had become be met with acceptance? Or would old narratives overshadow her progress? "I am changing," Claire replied, her voice steady. "I'm trying to be more than who I thought I had to be. I want us both to move forward, together." The The silence stretched once more, a chasm filled with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. Would Lily accept this version of Claire, or would old wounds resist reconciliation? Time loomed tensely as Claire awaited her response, grappling with the weight of the moment. The decision to embrace the journey felt monumental now. This was not just about cooking, but reclaiming their relationship. As a flicker of hesitation crossed Lily's face, Claire couldn't help but question if their shared history could withstand the tension of this revelation. Would they forge a path forward together, or would Claire's journey diverge painfully from what she once knew? With her heart pounding in anticipation, Claire braced herself for an answer that could redefine everything. Lily's silence stretched, fragility hanging in the air as Claire's heartbeat drummed a relentless rhythm against her ribs. The unease settling between them was thicker than the savory aromas still wafting from the plate, laden with memories that refused to be ignored. Claire had hoped for understanding, for recognition that she could cultivate something new from the soil of their past. Instead, the silence deepened, a dark shadow gripping the table as they sat, servants to unspoken thoughts. "What do you mean, moving forward? Are you saying I should just forget everything?" Lily's voice was sharp, a thin veneer masking deeper scars. The defensiveness laced her words, the flinch of her brow betraying the mixture of curiosity and concern. Claire felt the wall rising, the tension curling back into familiar patterns. "No, that's not what I want," Claire replied passionately, her voice surging along with her emotions. "I don't want us to erase our history. I just want to rewrite our story." Her own words echoed the revelation she had been wrestling with, the necessity of transformation that did not diminish their shared past, but rather built on it. Lily scoffed, her fork clinking loudly against the plate. "You think a meal can change things? Just like that? You can't just decide to be different and expect me to adjust." The sharpness in Lily's tone cut through Claire's bravado. It didn't matter how many ingredients she had carefully chosen, how possibly delicious the medley was if it faded into another failed attempt at reaching her sister. The realization struck Claire hard. This wasn't just about the meal. It was a profound confrontation, a claim on identity that was still being forged. "I've spent so long feeling trapped in this image of myself." Claire spoke softly now, her vulnerability weaving through her conviction. "And if I feel this way, how can I take a step back for who I was? It's not just about food, it's about us. Can't you see that?" At that moment, Claire didn't just fight for her sister's understanding. She fought for herself. In reclaiming who she was, knitting together the fabric that had frayed between them, she was also teaching herself resilience. The realization sparked something in her, igniting a deeper understanding of her own value beyond paralyzing fear. "I want to show you," she continued, leaning closer, her gaze steady. "I want to prove that we can both choose to evolve. Together." For just a flicker of a moment, Claire glimpsed something in Lily's eyes. The tension softened, revealing a hint of uncertainty, perhaps curiosity. It was not much, just a mere flicker, but it was there. Claire seized it, pressing on with an urgency birthed from her own transformation. "What if we create new memories?" Claire pressed. "What if we build something from here? I want you to be part of that." Lily stirred in her seat, her stance slightly relaxing. "You really think it's that simple?" "No," Claire responded firmly. "But it can start with trying. We have enough shared history filled with sorrow. Perhaps it's time to embrace joy too." The weight of Claire's earnestness began to chip away at Lily's defensiveness. Each layer of hesitation that crumbled bared the complexities of their bond, making Claire aware that she was not just fighting for acceptance. She was acknowledging the often difficult dance of both their realities. With a soft sigh, Lily looked at the plate again, the once vibrant colors flickering in her eyes as if questioning them anew. Claire held her breath, entrusting her sister with the rawness of her truth. "Maybe," Lily whispered uncertainly, her voice revealing a crack of hope. "But you'll have to show me how." Claire beamed subtly inside, sensing the shift, the possibility that their paths could align rather than diverge. As they sat in a cocoon of tentative openness, ideas swirling and settling like fresh ingredients, Claire had never felt more resolute. The journey didn't end with this dinner. It had barely begun. She was more than the recipe. She was navigating the waters of family, and the most potent ingredient had always been honesty. "What if we cook together next time?" she suggested, her mind racing with endless possibilities. Lily glanced up, curiosity replacing skepticism. "What do you mean?" And for Claire, that moment felt like a doorway had swung open, beckoning her forward into uncharted waters of a renewed relationship. But as talk of future dinners hung in the air, Claire felt something shift. The anxiety of the past hadn't disappeared entirely. It lingered like a shadow, ever present. The deep-rooted question loomed. Just how far could they both go in forgiving what remained unspoken? Determined, Claire whispered, "There's so much more to explore. Together." The answer to her quiet question hung unresolved between them, thick with promise and uncertainty, leaving Claire teetering on the brink of hope, yet questioning what lay beyond that threshold. What would be required to fully bridge their past with this newfound promise? Claire spent the next few days in reflection, her thoughts a whirlpool of possibilities and fears. The prospect of cooking with Lily hung over her like an unfinished melody, beautiful yet haunting. With every passing hour, she recognized how daunting this transformation would be, not just in the kitchen, but in their relationship. It forced her to confront her expectations as much as her vulnerabilities. As the light of morning spilled through the window, Claire found herself at the local market, surrounded by vibrant produce and the intoxicating aroma of fresh herbs. She could almost hear her sister's laughter in the bustle of shoppers. Claire scanned the booths, her hands brushing against the glossy skins of tomatoes and freshly baked bread. Each choice mirrored her declaration to rewrite their story. The act of selecting ingredients felt monumental, a step toward reconciling her identity with what their relationship could become. Amid this exploration, she spotted an elderly woman plucking through a basket of vegetables, her weathered hands moving with a dexterity Claire didn't possess. As if sensing Claire's gaze, the woman looked up, her eyes bright with warmth. "Cooking is like painting," she said, her voice gravelly yet melodic. "You must be willing to mix colors until you find the right hue." Claire's heart raced at the simplicity of the woman's wisdom. She began to envision her meals not just as sustenance, but as canvases for emotions, honesty, and hope. Inspired, she began to choose her ingredients thoughtfully, savoring each decision like a deliberate brushstroke. Sharing this new endeavor with Lily loomed closer, yet the past dictated Claire's anxiety. The memory of their tumultuous childhood and the weight of regrets threatened to choke her resolve. She stood momentarily still, grappling with her fears. What if Lily rejected this invitation to create? What if they clashed again like unyielding flavors that refused to blend? This moment forced a choice. She could flee, retreat into the familiar clutches of self-doubt, or she could confront the shadows lingering within their shared history. Recalling the old woman's words, she understood each successful dish must incorporate the bittersweet elements of life, conflict, resolution, and the spaces in between. With renewed determination, Claire returned home, her bag filled with fresh, colorful ingredients. She meticulously arranged everything on the counter, a vibrant testament to her resolve. Tomorrow would bring their first cooking session together, and she intended to seize it as the opportunity it was, an avenue for growth, connection, and experimentation. The next day, anticipation swirled in her stomach as Lily arrived. The tension mirrored the tension of their last encounter, an undercurrent vibrating underneath playful banter. Claire could feel her heart quicken as she suggested they start by making a classic dish that sat at the intersection of their past and future, a family recipe, but with a twist. "So what's first?" Lily asked, half-heartedly inspecting the ingredients with a skeptical eye. Claire appreciated her sister's willingness to participate, even amidst frustration. "Let's make our grandmother's pasta, but we'll infuse it with a fresh herb pesto," Claire proposed, measuring her words carefully. We can bring something new into it. A shadow flickered across Lily's face. You want to change everything. Can't we just stick to what we know? The conflict ignited in Claire, a reminder that some culinary memories are stubborn, wreathed in nostalgia. Yet this was also a chance to illustrate their evolving dynamic, to pull on the threads of their past while weaving something richer. Change doesn't erase what came before, Claire said firmly but softly, wanting to draw her sister in and not push her away. It's about enhancing it, just like a good sauce, layers of flavor built on a solid base. With that, she reached for the fresh basil, inhaling its fragrant scent. Here, smell this. Tentatively, Lily leaned forward, the contours of her skepticism softening, if only momentarily. As they cooked, the rich aroma filled the kitchen, a sensory bridge calling forth memories of happier moments. They stumbled through mishaps, laughter erupting, followed by the occasional moment of tension that reminded them of how far they still needed to go. Yet Claire noticed each confrontation chipped away at barriers, transforming resentment into partnership. But Claire remained acutely aware of the deeper issues surrounding them, the weight of unaddressed grievances that loomed large. They were navigating not just food, but the complex landscape of their shared lives. Would they find the courage to voice what needed to be said? As they plated the dish, Claire could feel the air crackle with unsaid truths. Each bite, infused with their collective history, represented a step into an uncharted territory of hope and healing. They reveled in the meal, yet a looming question grabbed Claire. Could they both truly embrace the evolution of their relationship? What if we both wrote down what we want to share? Claire ventured, her heart pounding as the words tumbled forth. Lily looked up, her fork poised over pasta. What do you mean? As uncertainty settled over the table, Claire braced herself. She had initiated the beginnings of a courageous conversation. The path forward seemed clearer yet fraught with potential setbacks, a dance requiring careful steps and resilience. The supper would be a milestone, or merely a fleeting moment. Only time would tell. Claire felt the weight of Lily's gaze fixed on her, a mix of scrutiny and surprise. It was a moment suspended between hope and hesitation, and Claire's pulse quickened, each heartbeat signaling the importance of what lay ahead. They hovered on the brink of transformation, and yet the past loomed large, reminding Claire of the many times attempts at connection had bred discord instead of harmony. Writing down what we want to share could help us express things without, interrupting each other, Claire said, carefully crafting her explanation in the space filled with the scent of garlic and fresh herbs. She felt a part of her growing boldness, pushing against layers of self-constraint. We can confront our feelings. Get everything out in the open. The tension thickened like the sauce they had made, and Claire prepared herself for Lily's response. Would she welcome this suggested resolution, or shut it down? She recalled countless family dinners where emotions simmered just below the surface, unsaid words, creating distance rather than intimacy. Lily hesitated, and Claire caught a glimpse of conflicting emotions flitting across her sister's face. Curiosity, wariness, anticipation. Fine. But let's keep it simple. Just a few things. That agreement felt monumental to Claire, serving as both a kindness and a challenge. It underscored the fragility of their relationship. Each word they shared deserved careful consideration. The sisters settled at the kitchen table with utensils in hand, Claire's heart racing at the audacity of their intentions. As she began to write, she questioned her own motivations. Did she want closure, or to start anew? Certainly she craved understanding, yet fear coiled tightly around her thoughts. What if sharing diverging perspectives reopened old wounds, instead of allowing healing? Yet the act of writing was a promise, a silent vow to at least try. Okay, Claire murmured to herself, focusing on the paper as if it could catch the essence of her emotions. She scribbled down feelings of rejection, yearning for connection, and the desire to involve Lily in her world. Each sentence was a release, a discovery of previously unacknowledged truths. Across the table, she saw Lily's brow furrow in concentration, pen scratching against paper, while glances darted up toward Claire. There was a flicker of recognition in her eyes, a shared understanding of the need for this unveiling, despite the risks. Moments passed in a reflective silence, punctuated only by the sound of pens moving against paper. Claire was surprised as liberating it felt, an emotional weight lifting with each stroke. But the deeper she plumbed her feelings, the more intricate the layers became. When they finished, Claire swallowed her nerves, eager yet anxious to listen. Unraveling these truths meant confronting fears ingrained over years. "Let's share," she suggested, voice wavering slightly. Lily cleared her throat, the air around them charged with uncharted possibilities. "All right, but promise not to laugh," she said, allowing a weighty chuckle to break the tension. Claire nodded, the laughter echoing even as she sensed the gravity of the moment. As they read their revelations aloud, the face of their relationship became visible amid the contradictions and complexities of their histories. Each confession was heavy with emotional resonance. Claire heard Lily express feelings of inadequacy, the burdens of siblingship wrapped in insecurities. Just as Claire shared her yearning for a bond stronger than past scars. Their vulnerabilities began to weave a new tapestry, intricate yet fragile. Each shared word acted like a delicate thread stitching their stories together, and the ease between them slowly transformed into something foundational. Yet with each earnest confession also came the reminder of how much had been left unsaid. As the room cooled with the fading light of day, Claire looked at Lily with renewed determination. "This is just the beginning," she declared, feeling an unfamiliar sense of empowerment coursing through her. But Lily, less assured, glanced away. What if this just opens up more questions? An unsettled sense of foreboding unfurled within Claire, each inquiry echoing through her. Would this courageous leap bring them even closer, or crack open yet more fractures in their foundation? Before Claire could respond, the doorbell rang, slicing through their moment of nascent strength. The sound echoed ominously as it pulled them back to reality, encapsulating the uncertainty that still loomed large. Who could it be? Would it help break down walls or crystallize divides? They exchanged glances laden with questions, both aware the revelations they'd shared were about to be tested in ways they couldn't yet fathom. As anticipation hung in the air, Claire's heart raced. Was she truly ready to confront whatever awaited them on the other side of that door? Claire stood with a mix of anxiety and determination as she approached the door. The weight of their recent confessions lingered in the air, a fragile web of new understandings intertwining with the history that had nearly torn them apart. She took a deep breath and opened the door, and in walked their mother, a bright smile on her face, immediately eclipsing the gravity of the previous moments. "Surprise! I thought I'd drop in and see my two favorite chefs," her mother exclaimed, pulling them both into a warm embrace. The flood of familiarity momentarily softened the tension that had built up over the past days. Claire's heart swelled with affection, but an underlying worry nagged at her. Would her mother's arrival derail their conversation, or could it serve as an unexpected catalyst for even greater healing? "Mom!" Lily's tone mixed surprise and delight. Yet Claire couldn't ignore the tightness in her sister's jaw or the way she held back, a cautionary look flickering behind her joyful expression. "You both cook together now? I'm so proud of you," their mother beamed, oblivious to the deeper emotional currents that ran beneath the surface. Claire felt a jolt of clarity. This was a pivotal moment, and she recognized how much healing lay in sharing their achievements with their mother. "Actually, we've just started to work on some new recipes and some other things too," Claire ventured, her eyes seeking Lily's. She needed to be brave. Even a small acceptance of their progress could serve as an affirmation of their growth as sisters in front of their mother. "Like what?" their mother asked, genuine curiosity lighting up her features. Claire took a chance, inviting Lily to share her thoughts first. What if we talk about our new beginnings, what we're trying to create together? Claire nudged gently. The time to elevate their connection loomed before them, their shared journey growing wider as they began to grasp the opportunities change could bring. The hall was a stage, the three of them poised to share their unfolding stories. Lily took a hesitant step forward, her voice steadier than Claire expected. "We've learned that both of us have had some unresolved feelings," she admitted, glancing from Claire to their mother. "And we're trying to reframe what it means to be sisters under this new light." Claire felt a warmth spread inside her. It was the first time Lily had spoken openly in front of their mother about their struggles, a crack in the door they had been too afraid to open until now. Their mother's expression softened, pride gleaming in her eyes. "That's wonderful, you two. But remember, healing takes time. Can you promise not to rush it?" At that moment, Claire realized they were on the brink of transformation, not just as sisters, but also as individuals integrating their past with hope for their future. "We're learning that, Mom," she said passionately, "and that healing often begins with honoring who we are and where we've been." Taking a step further, she decided this moment mattered more than any fear bubbling inside. "I want to make a dinner for us, a meal that embraces the new us, a celebration of our journey forward." Her mother's interest piqued. "What a beautiful idea. I would love to help too." And although Claire instantaneously envisioned another chance for their old patterns to rear their heads again, she felt a surge of optimism. "Let's all cook together," she suggested, feeling excitement replace her earlier apprehension. The laughter of family echoed around them, easily drawing them back to joy rather than sadness. As they moved together through the kitchen, ingredients flew around, mingling scents, mixing strands of their evolving relationship, intertwining laughter with the rhythm of preparation. With every chop and stir, Claire felt the past dissipate into the creative flow of the present. In those moments, she observed how their traditional recipes became threads rewoven into new futures. They infused old family favorites with fresh perspectives and flavors. Each bite tasted of growth, reconciliation, and shared commitment. Savoring the food laid before them, Claire grasped that this was more than a dinner. It was a new foundation of trust and understanding, built in celebration of the whole family. Nothing felt stagnant this evening. There wasn't just transformation happening in her and Lily, but it was extended beyond them, weaving into their mother's awareness too. After the dinner, laughter reverberated in the air, memories of their past cheering them on as they forged ahead. "I'm so proud of you both," their mother said, her voice filled with genuine warmth. "Watching you restore your bond means more than I can express. It motivates me too." As the evening drew to a close, Claire felt a wave of accomplishment wash over her. She was not just changing her relationship with her sister, but also opening a deeper connection with her mother. She'd reclaimed her identity and her family. "Thank you for helping us tonight," Claire said, sincerity sparkling in her eyes. That simple word bonded them closer, to the past, the present, and the possibilities ahead. As their laughter echoed through the kitchen, Claire realized she had transformed the very essence of who she was, not merely as a chef, but as a sister and daughter. Vulnerability, acceptance, and connection had become nourishment for her soul. And as Claire stood surrounded by warmth, she knew this was just the beginning of something much bigger than she had dared to imagine. With her newfound confidence, she now embraced this continuous space of growth, untethered from fear, trusting the process of this ever-evolving journey of love, family, and self-discovery. The door to the future had inexorably opened, and she stepped through it with joy in her heart and determination in her spirit. Remember, this is where transformation begins. Don't miss the chance to witness more powerful stories of overcoming. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive emotional journeys. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm with your support. Comment below with your reactions and theories about this healing journey. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to spread the hope and strength we're cultivating together.